Welcome to episode number 56 of About the Cards podcast, live tonight on YouTube. As always, with me, my co-host Stephen Loeffler at Junk Wax Twins, Ben Wilson at our Trading Cards. He's back from his Ace scouting trip. He was out looking for Ace talent, didn't find any because they don't have any. He was looking for pitching. And I'm Tim Scheffler at Big Shep 79. We are a podcast by collectors for collectors. And we hope to bring you a smart and insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 Central on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. You can check out the podcast. We're available on iTunes, Stitcher. Outcast is working if you're having trouble with iTunes and YouTube. Check out our website, aboutthecards.wordpress.com. Real quick, as we're breaking, guys, some news coming here in the last hour. Jim Bouton, the former Yankee and author of Ball 4, has passed away. He was 80. He'd been fighting some brain disease linked to dementia and was in hospice care recently. And so, unfortunately, we've lost a guy that wrote an amazing book that was released in the 1970 season. And it talks about his time with the Yankees and Mickey Mantle. And very interesting book. One of the best baseball reads that's out there. It's kind of fitting as tonight. We have an amazing guest with us tonight, Nick Diunte. He's a baseball writer. He has baseballhappenings.com. He writes for Mets Mesmerized. He's also a writer for La Vida Baseball, and he contributes to Fords. Welcome, Nick. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Good evening, gentlemen.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. We've been you're on our short list of folks to have on an interview, and we're happy to have you on tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, guys, real quick before we start, I wanted to, as you guys know, I've been selling a lot lately on eBay. Kind of started my own little side project, and it's been fun. But I found a cool source and a service to kind of help me out because a lot of people, like on Twitter, don't like to buy from people from Twitter. It's called Replin. It's a really good solution about a lot of stuff we've talked before about on the show. It helps sellers build their personal brand and selling without high fees. So I hate paying those eBay fees, and I know a lot of other people do, and so that's why they hit up Twitter and Facebook groups, and they do Instagram and stuff like that for sale. I actually was linked up with the co-founder recently of the company, and he said a lot of sports card collectors and sellers are using their service now. And early on, we kind of saw some things popping up, and I know we talked about it, and it's pretty cool. So it really works by just logging in. If you have a PayPal account, you log in with your PayPal account, you set up your page with a personal handle, and you can have buyers. They can actually pay you for goods and services, or pay you through PayPal with goods and services. And so since it's not tied to like a marketplace like eBay or Sportlots or Check Out My Cards, then there's no real fees except for the small PayPal fees that you're going to pay there. And you can sell on Twitter and Instagram, but they're going to be able to see your reputation. So it's going to show like your feedback score on eBay. It's going to show you're going to actually build a reputation through their website. It's pretty awesome. So you're not going to get scammed because we've talked a lot about that lately, where people are buying and selling on Twitter, and they're doing friends and family and getting scammed. This is kind of a way to build that up, so you can go to different sources and sell cards, and they're going to say, oh, look, this guy's a trustworthy seller, and it shows. So they also recently launched Replin Marketplace, which is a cool way to browse for items sold on Twitter. And we can go into that later into our hobby talk section. But if you want to check out like what it looks like, you can check out my Replin profile at replin.com/TBS Sports Cards. And I have a few things up there, and I'll link the channel and my page, or link my page to our channel. I think I've already done that, and we'll tweet it out tonight. And also they have an app, so they have a cool app that's on iOS and Android. So check it out, guys. It's been really helpful for me, and some cool way to get out there and sell on Twitter and not have to feel like you're going to get taken advantage of. So, or get when you buy something from somebody on there. So, Nick, so let's talk a little bit about your background, your writing background, because contributive Forbes is pretty awesome. I've seen some great articles. Your site is really good and had a lot of information. We talked about before we started the show how the Mets actually screwed up when they were celebrating the 69 team, and they pronounced one of their guys dead. Then the following day, they took it back because he wasn't dead, but then they spelled his name wrong. And you actually got to talk to this guy before the Mets even did.
Yeah, the guy's name was Jesse Hudson. He pitched one entire game with the Mets in the 69 team. And, I was at Citi Field that day, and I was there with one of my buddies, and we looked up on the screen. And I'm like, I don't think he's dead. And they had another guy out there, Jim Gosker, and I'm like, I don't think he's dead either. When I got home, Gosker posted on Facebook, and, I put that up, and that got, really a lot of traction on Twitter. And I said, you know what, let me try to catch up with these guys. I actually called Gosker in the morning. He didn't pick up. And then I called Jesse around 9 a.m. Eastern, and we talked for about 10, 15 minutes. And he was just taken aback. He was like, well, I'm still here. And he wasn't aware of it. He didn't know that this even went on and this was a thing. And I guess I got to him before the Mets were able to reach out to him. And, we talked, and he told me about his major league appearance and how he was feeling about it. And, his time at the Mets and how the older guys, looked after him. He was like 19 or 20, and he thought he was going to get back, but he never did. But still, you play one game, you're still part of the team. He wasn't on that World Series roster, but still, especially people who are like those completists. If you played one game, you were on the team. And he still holds that dearly, that month that he spent with the team as like a 19, 20-year-old in 1969.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So give us a little bit about a background on your writing and like your history, like how that gets started, and then about like your website about baseballhappenings.com.
Yeah, definitely. I played a lot of baseball growing up. I played in college. After coming out of college, played some semi-pro ball. Went into teaching, went into coaching, and still really kind of had a love for that interest in the game. And I'd say around like 2006, 2007, I was adjuncting at Temple University in Philadelphia, and I had access to their libraries, and I started going back and doing some more research. And I just started reaching out and calling players. I was always into like writing guys in the mail from when I was young, and middle school, high school, and the correspondence was always interesting. So it always piqued my taste for like that oral history part of the game and chronicling it. And, then when I had more access as a professor and, people would kind of like more willingly pick up the phone, I just found it real easy to, look guys up and reach out. And if I couldn't get them on the phone, I'd write them a letter. And it was, in the beginning, it was surprising how many guys were just willing to pick up the phone and talk for half an hour about their career. And I built a really good database to work off of. And then I moved back to New York in 2008, and I started to pick up the writing, started baseballhappenings.net, got some media credentials, and, got some access here and there. And it's just, progressively taken off over time.
Well, you buried the lead there a little bit because you said you were a professor.
Yeah.
So you're like the most educated person we've had on the show. We're not used to having educated people on the show, right? Only about baseball cards. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm a high school teacher, an athletic director right now, but I worked as an adjunct also at Temple University, training other teachers.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome. So you wrote a piece recently for Forbes about Topps and their Series 2 release with Gary Vee being involved. It talks about his love of cards and Topps and kind of growing up, and then how he built that partnership with Topps to actually get a card into Series 2. Can you walk through that and just kind of how that all came together?
I guess I've been listening to Gary Vee's podcast for about the past year. I actually ironically found out about it on Twitter, and I think people were clowning him maybe about a year ago. He was like putting up like 87 Topps, and Gary has like all this money, and people are like, oh, he must think these things are worth money. And I just started following him and then listening to his podcast. And the more he started to talk about baseball cards, if you're in a certain age range, he probably had a similar experience of coming up through the 80s and collecting. And he starts talking about how he would flip cards like in school and then go to shows. And, this was like kind of before the advent of the internet, and going to shows and finding out who was hot and kind of making deals and, making money as a teenager at shows. And he stuck with the hobby for quite a bit, I guess, until he went off to college. But that idea of like collecting and buying and selling, he said he made a fair amount of money doing that as, a teenager. and it wasn't like the most popular thing to do. So the more I listened to his podcast and kept coming back to him, like, all right, this isn't like a Johnny come lately who's just kind of looking to, fully capitalize off the industry, because this was someone that was in it when a lot of us were in it as well. So that's how like I figured out Gary's thing was genuine. So when I saw that he partnered with Topps, I wasn't surprised.
No, I wasn't either, and I thought it was quicker. It happened quicker than I expected it to. So did you collect as a kid?
Oh yeah, definitely. Same thing. I grew up in the 80s and around like 80, remember first getting my first cards 86, 87. And I definitely collected like pretty strongly through about high school, and baseball took over. Like actually playing the game took over. And there became so many releases. It was tough to follow up with everything. I kind of moved over to autographs a little bit more. Again, still like writing guys in the mail was a lot easier than running back and forth to the store. Like I could do that kind of like on some quiet time. And, and then when you get to college, right, like baseball really, they was baseball 24/7, but it was really playing baseball. So I put really most of the collecting stuff on the side until I got out of school.
Interesting. Who did you collect then, and who do you collect now?
I was a big Mets fan. Grew up in New York City in Queens, and so I was always a big fan of the Mets and their players. And getting their autographs, and then that turned to like the Negro Leagues. When Ken Burns put out baseball, Buck O'Neil was so captivating. I was like, I want to know more about the Negro League. So when I got a lot of books, and they had a few of the reunions here, luckily, 94, 96, I remember going and meeting the guys, and they were just like happy to be recognized and remember most of them. And they had some cards and memorabilia that came out with it. So I'd write to the guys in the mail, and I got some just awesome correspondence, which is like in one of these books, behind me here. And so that was really like my focus of collecting. And when I got back into it, probably like I said, like when I was doing that stuff with Temple, like 2006, 7, I picked up the Topps Heritage. I thought that stuff was cool and the throwback designs. But I also tried to get back in touch with whatever Negro League players were still living at the time. And being in Philadelphia, there was a core group of Negro Leaguers that played for the Philadelphia Stars. And then Topps started putting those guys in their Allen and Ginter set. And I was able to get to those guys at some of the reunions before they had passed away. So that was where my focus was. And then around late 2015, I got hooked up with Topps, and I became a reviewer of their products. So, every few weeks something comes in the mail with their releases. And now it's probably going to come every week or two because this is a heavy season for them.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about how's that process work?
I reached out in the same way I did when I did music. I did radio for 11 years, and I was a DJ, and I did that alongside the teaching and the playing ball. And, so I knew how to like interact with the record labels, and I was doing the same approach over to Topps. I couldn't be like, yeah, I just want to open cards and take pictures of them. Like I had to show them my writing and the outlets I wrote for, and they were like, all right, we'll do a test run. And they liked the reviews that I did. And then, things have grown on social media via Twitter and Facebook. And then I've started with like some box breaks on YouTube just to like kind of hit all the angles, a little bit of Instagram, trying to build it up a little bit more as we go along. And, I think being consistent with the releases. So making sure, I review basically everything that they send my way. And it's been fun because I've gotten like back into this world that I really didn't think I would get into. And it's got its ups and downs with being in, back in the collecting world a bit. As you can see it play out on social media, you got some people who handle it really maturely, and then other people that, it's just like fifth grade stuff, right? So, but I've met a lot of really good dudes and women, I should say, right out of it, and people who just like, they love the sport, they love collecting and the trading, and, they're really passionate about the hobby, and that's been fun to see. I just like to see it turn into the younger crowd more. Really quick, I hope I'm not offending you with my hat. I want to make sure of that because it's cool. I watched it go down, so it's all good.
Okay,
it's all good. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. Because I offend Ben sometimes because he remembers the 14 wild card game, and then we came back anyway. So
let's move on. And you'd rather get there and lose than not get there. Trust me.
Yeah.
From a Twins fan, yeah.
Minnesota fan. Our last championship game appearance is 91.
You were like 4.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you could only own one card, we ask all of our guests this, except for Rich because we forgot to ask him. You'd only own one baseball card, football card, basketball, hockey, whatever. What trading card would you own and why?
Is it one that I currently possess, or if like I could pick?
Yeah, one that you currently possess, and then one that maybe you dream of, like a Holy Grail card.
Wish list.
You know, I'm probably, it's probably gonna be a cop out answer. I think the 52 Mantle is always the conversation starter and a conversation piece. And if I could own one card, it would be that card, because that one is probably like one of the most widely recognizable cards, right? Gosh, if I had to pick out one of my own, that's so difficult, because it'd probably be like one of these that are, you know, that are signed. And I really, oh gosh, I'm just having a tough time calling it right now. If I could like,
it's not the Palmero over your shoulder.
No, it's not the Rapids over my shoulder. But you know, I you know, come back to me a little bit later in the show. I guess if I could think off the top, I'm trying to think like, you know, who do I have that like I'd met that like it meant a lot. You know, it meant a lot to me, and you know, they all hold good memories, especially the guys that I was able to meet and you know, interact with.
So what couple guys have you met that you really enjoyed?
Just real quick, just real quick, Nick, your inability to decide which one is the beauty of the question, because we're all attached to so many different cards or players for different reasons. Like you know, Tim's question here that we want you to answer about the fact you've met a lot of these guys, talked to them, a lot of the Negro League guys who have long since passed, who were not given a great opportunity during their prime to do what Jackie Robinson and some of the other players that came thereafter were able to do. And it's such a great question, because it's hard for us to single one card that for most of us is insignificant.
Right. All right. So I'll pick a card that you know, that goes along that right. So there's a gentleman by the name of Clyde Paris. You can look him up. Topps put him in there. Allen and Ginter said he played in Negro Leagues. He lived by me in Queens, and I got a hold of him, I don't know, maybe like 2009, 2010. And I actually helped link them up with Topps to be able to get a card in their set. And so I have a few here signed by him, and Clyde became a really good friend and would call me, just ask me to come over. And, you know, I used to play baseball out by where he lived. After a game, I'd come over and, you know, we would just talk baseball, and you know, he'd call me, leave me a message on my phone. Hey Nick, where are you, man? You know, like he had this heavy Panamanian accent, and he was just a, you know, real gentle soul. But no one had reached out to him about his career, like in the Negro Leagues, and he said I was the first person to really like wake that up after, you know, 50 plus years of him, you know, moving on from that. And he had a really great story to tell. He played in the Dodgers organization, went up to AAA with them, won a batting title in the International League. They didn't call him up. You know, what else do you have to do, right? You win a AAA batting title, they still don't call you up. And that meant a lot, you know, just because of the time that I spent with him in his home and talking to him, and, you know, just, you know, us having phone conversation and stuff like that. It's kind of a special card.
So there's a fun parallel, you being a teacher.
Yeah.
Have you ever taught history by chance?
No.
Okay, so the beauty of being a teacher is you're still limited to the confines of the curriculum to a certain degree.
Right.
And there's so much more, the peripherals beyond that aren't taught in school. So you being a teacher and bringing this one ball player who's lost in the history of, you know, the sport, and there's so many, he's just one of, you know, hundreds if not thousands of players that nobody will ever remember, that, you know, you picked up the phone, you talked to this guy, and he was happy to be able to share his story and his contribution to the game. And it's just funny because, you know, you go to like a history book, and how much of the history is not in there. It's just highlighted by the main points, because that's what it is. And it's just that parallel between the two of, there's so much more to history and to math, and pick a subject as a teacher, along with the fact that, you know, baseball is a subject, and there's so much, and we only see the top 1%, 2%, 3% of it, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, and you know what? That's what makes the card special, right? Like, I'm going to grab a card, like a random card I just have here, right? So, great book that just came out on him, Rocky Colavito, right? Nice. But this card captures a moment in time, sure, right? And these guys are preserved. And you asked me about like Jesse Hudson earlier in the call, right? He has one baseball card. He pitched in one inning, but he's got a 1970, 71 Topps, you know, card. Him and Mike Georgeson share a rookie card. So it's like, that's I mean, until all the baseball cards disappear, right? Like that, his moment in history is captured.
Oh, absolutely. And hearing those stories sometimes are the fun thing. We all know the story of name your great, right? Say a Babe Ruth and a Lou Gehrig and a Jackie Robinson, because they've all been highlighted in books and movies and memorialized. But so much of the backbone of the sport is built on guys that you've mentioned and similar guys that are there as well. Along with the female league in the early 40s and stuff like that. There's so much that casual fans would gloss over. Diehard fans are unaware of. And it's just incredible to know just one of the guys' names. That's all. That all makes us just a little closer to the sport. And I'm sure each and every one of those guys that had an opportunity to play, especially in the Negro leagues, have a story that would just mesmerize us if we were able to hear it. Yeah,
definitely. If any of you do have a chance, if you're on Twitter, it's at Negro League Film. It's called The Other Boys of Summer. It's a wonderful documentary. It just got shown at the All-Star game. My friend Lauren Meyer is the producer and director, and I was actually there with her for some of the shoots because she had started this around like 2007, 2008. And I was there with her for some of the shoots. We went to a few Negro League events, and she made a wonderful documentary. Now it's starting to get some traction, and she's shown it, in front of like multiple major league teams at like their developmental, like their one RBI program, and their youth programs. And she's going to Wrigley in a few weeks, and folks have a chance to check it out, man. It's probably like one of the last that's going to capture the essence of the Negro Leagues, because she got to, guys like Monty Irvin, who was Hall of Famer that played. She got to him before he passed and got him on video, and a few other guys that people might recognize. John Miles, who also had a card with Allen and Ginter, and she got their stories on film, and it's a wonderful 1 hour documentary. And now it's there to keep the conversation going and preserve their voices, because there's very few left that actually played that can tell the story. And in a few years, there's going to be nobody.
Yeah. How many do you predict are left, roughly? I mean,
well, it all depends on where your cutoff is, right? So some people cut the Negro Leagues at 1950, some cut it at 1960. And then did they play for which teams did they play for? There were a lot of guys that played for minor league Negro League teams, and that's kind of more of a nomenclature thing depending on which historians you talk to. But guys that played pre 1950, 10, 15. Willie Mays is one of them, right?
Right.
Yeah, guys that played up to 1960 before that was when the league had its last All-Star game, maybe 25.
Yeah, so I figured if we cut it off at say 1950, late 40s, right as Jackie Robinson and Larry Doby are starting to make their presence, right, and started that the Red Sea parted, so to speak, and started to make the major leagues a little bit more fair and equitable, regardless. Yeah, I figured it would probably be in the dozens, if that. But most of these guys would have to be in their mid to late 80s on the low end if they played during that era.
They played in 1950 and they were 20, right? That's going to put them at 89.
Right. Yeah, it's remarkable that we're going to lose that part of history very, very soon. And so whatever historical documents we have, whether they're documentaries or radio interviews, that's it.
Yeah.
And yep. It's incredible that we have people like you that have found a passion in that we're able to keep just one story alive, because one story is one more than we had before. And, if we can grab some of those, like the documentary, we definitely want to be able to, if you want to drop that on your timeline and we can retweet it out and, get some people. I haven't seen it, so I would love to see it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's right now she's just doing screenings. But there's some trailers on the website and stuff like that, so I'll get that out.
Nice. Do you want to? Are you going to hang with us for the whole show?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Outstanding. Yeah. We will. We'll do that. So as we move on here, the week that was last week's releases. So we had Topps Living Week 69. We had card 205 Hyun-Jin Ryu of the Dodgers, who started the All-Star game last night. Card 106 Austin Riley, the rookie outfielder for the Atlanta Braves, and card 207 Eduardo Escobar, the third baseman for the Diamondbacks. They had not released the sold numbers. So We don't have those tonight, but check out at Topps Living Stat for a full breakdown of where these cards fall respectively in the set by teams and positions. He'll have those up as soon as they are released, most likely tomorrow. Last week, also, 2019 Topps Complete Baseball Factory Set was released. 2019 Bowman Platinum at Walmart's. The 2019 Topps London Series via the website. And 1819 Upper Deck Clear Cut Hockey. This week, hot off the press, is this week's new releases. I'm excited. Week 70 of Topps Living. 208 Hall of Famer Craig Biggio, catcher, second baseman of the Houston Astros. Card 209, his son, Calvin Biggio, second baseman of the Blue Jays. He's a rookie. And card 210, so the Say Hey, Jason Hayward, outfielder, Chicago Cubs. God, he was so collectible at one point in time. Really good, and then ended up signing a huge deal with the Cubs. And I don't know, kind of forgot how to play baseball a little bit. So, but the Biggio boys on there, I know Ben was excited because the Hayward card looks amazing.
It does. Yeah.
Dude's got a great beard. Very jealous, but no, it's a good week.
No, this is the second one that I've bought for anybody that cares.
No one does.
No, I know that. That's why I kind of preface that. Speaking of which, since we've mentioned Allen and Ginter a couple of times, Nick's referenced it. Mayumi Seto, who does the Topps Living artwork, is featured as a base card in this year's Allen and Ginter. So kind of an interesting addition if you're collecting Living. But man, I prospected Hayward hard back when he came up. There was Trout, there was Harper, there was a few guys coming up right at that same time. And man, hook, line, and sinker. Hayward's first at bat hits a home run. I was sold.
Felix PA.
Yeah, I called that one wrong, but I was like, I got to get this because it's incredible artwork, and I was already going to buy the Craig Biggio, so why not buy them all three, right?
Yeah, no, it was a good one. Also, 2019 Topps Archive Signature Series Baseball came out today. Around $45 to $48 a box, one card per box, one pack per box, one card per pack. It's a buyback auto. So rather than creating a completely new set, what they did is they just went back and used cards from other sets, and they put a signature on them. Good thing is they're on card autos. They come from sets, and it's a mix of modern Topps and Bowman releases. Per Ryan Cracknell, it's hard to determine a full scope of players of the cards players have signed because they're just a bunch of random ones. We've talked about this in the past. It looks like a TTM set. There's a gold foil stamp on every card. This is 2019 Topps Archive Signature Series and all that stuff to show the cards from a product and not an in-person autograph or through the mail request. The stamp also notes that the year, so there's no confusion to previous sets because they all look the same.
Trust me, it happens.
Yeah. That's all I'm going to say about it. You guys, if you want to talk about this awesome homemade set, please feel free.
When I've gotten it set in years past, and they sent it. This has been my take on it, and probably won't change. If you look at the cost of going to like a major league game and trying to get a signature, and how hard it is, for some people, it's worth like that $40 to take a dice roll on getting a signature because you're guaranteed something. But
Sure.
You could like go to a game, pay for a good seat, and like get nothing. So I've kind of realized like, if some people just like, I just want to take like a lottery ticket on an autograph, it's about this. It might be cheaper than going to a game and trying to do it yourself.
So two things. One, Nick, that's awesome because we've blasted this set in the past. Tim and I, and Steph was really not up the alley of this kind of set, but Tim and I have destroyed this set. So I'm glad you said that because that's not something we really considered. Like, compare it to going to a game. We did talk to Doug today at Mojo Break, and
Okay.
Being breakers, they were kind of talking about from the company side. It's a really good product because if you're opening these boxes, if you're selling spots, if you're just selling a box, the anticipation of the one card, it's either going to get you your $50 back or it's not. But you're still getting a card that has some level of value. You're guaranteed an on-card auto. It's not for me, but I can see where it would be for a certain collector segment out there. And I'd never really considered what you had brought up, so I appreciate that side of the perspective.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'd rather pay honestly like another $20-$30 for like, one of Topps' like mid-level products that maybe guarantees an autograph and at least get like 100-200 cards with it, and maybe the chance for like some parallels or something else, right? So I could see where like the value play might not be there. I don't know if you guys were throwing this around on Twitter today though about like the list of signers and that there was like a few like duds, like you were like these guys shouldn't even be in it. But I guess it's all about.
I brought that up, yeah.
That was you, right? But I guess it's all, the more that, so when you guys asked me earlier, like the more that I get into like doing the reviews, I have to try to also look at it from like Topps' perspective. They got to do something with, to try to fill this demand. And it's like, you can't keep going back to the big name players because they're not as accessible, but you might be able to sit the rookies down, right? Pay them at a different scale, right? And have them sign a few thousand cards during the course of the years. But like getting to like whatever Trout, you might be able to get 200 autographs off him the whole season or something like that.
And our friend Ben Aguirre had responded, basically, for anybody that hadn't seen the tweet that listens to the show, I had said that Barreto and Hampson and Michael Kopech are included, and they haven't done enough yet at the major league level to have a desirable autograph in a product like this, where it's one pack, one card, $50. If I pull a Franklin Barreto, which I can buy all day long for $3 to $5 in any other product. And the thing is, Franklin Barreto doesn't have a ton of cards to begin with. So when you go and buy cards back, for Trout, you're pulling for 8 years of cards. Barreto, you're pulling for 1 to 2, and you're getting like Gypsy Queen and Big League Baseball. And sorry, man, they're not worth it. But Ben Aguirre's point is you have to have some of those lower end guys to pull the product back down. I mean, if this was nothing but full of Harpers and Guerreros and Trouts,
right. You're looking at like $200 a box or something like that.
For a card, right? For one card.
Yeah.
Sure. Same pack odds, just much bigger names. And yeah, I still hate the product, but I appreciate your position.
No, I think it's a better point of view than I think we've looked at in the past. I think just because we kind of hammer the product a little bit. So
well, and it's definitely the strongest argument for it outside of Joe Mauer being the catcher on the back of the Ian kit. Sorry.
Yeah,
only
I mean,
only you would find that.
Well, I mean, it is what it is.
Look, right? I mean, the anticipation of opening up some of these like guaranteed hit products from Topps is tough. Like this, like clearly authentic, like it's like, all right, drum roll, it's like open it like 3 seconds later. It's like there it went. Yeah. Right? Like it's these are tough propositions. But like I said, Topps they have quotas they have to fill basically by putting out all these products.
It's kind of funny that it comes out right after the 4th of July, where you spend hundreds of dollars on fireworks to see this small little flame, and you're watching this for 10 seconds going, man, that just cost me, $8. And it's kind of poignant at the timing, the parallel.
Hey, I bought some of these little grenade things that you throw, and basically they have like black cats in them and they smoke. I bought 4 boxes for like $5. Man, I was happy. I saved a couple bins, so you better watch out.
I don't want to talk about it. Let's just say I exploded 2 fingers partially.
Yeah, he almost Jason Pierre-Paul'd himself this weekend, so lucky Steph's here. So going from that product, we're going to go to another product here. 2019 Topps Diamond Icons comes out today. It's only $1,600 a box. It's 1 pack per box, 10 cards per pack. You're going to get 7 autographs, 2 auto relics, and a relic card. It's a high-end product, obviously. It's only autograph and relic cards. There are 0 base cards in this. No single card has more than 25 copies. And the cut signatures have 4 copies, as well as they have a 1 of 1. So basically, there's 5 cut signatures of each of those guys in there. Sounds like so. There's a cut of Babe Ruth. This is for that gambler. This is that breaker's dream product. This is that I would say the what dream product, because I mean it's all hitter, no filler kind of product.
They seem to have improved their Griffey Trout patch selection.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple weeks ago on a different product. But guys, this is a big boy product, and big names, big autos, big price points. What do you think?
Well, we're totally splitting a box at the 2021 National, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Obviously.
Yeah, there's different market segments that you have to appease. Like to Nick's point, you have these different quotas, and you have to have an opening day, and you have to have a diamond icon because they're not the same guy. The same guy's not collecting both. To me, there's nothing wrong with diamond icons. The fact that they're so expensive, it probably prices a lot of the casual to moderate collectors out of this particular market. But it's not designed for us to go buy a box. It's designed for box breakers and player collectors that have a lot different socioeconomic classes. Really, is what it comes down to. If you're making $60,000 a year and you've got a wife and a couple of kids at home, or a husband and a couple of kids at home, you might be able to grab one on eBay for $70 to $100 possibly, but you're not buying a box. Just like National Treasures and Panini Flawless, and that's where Diamond Icons lives.
Yeah. Hey guys, can you do me a quick favor? If you guys have any speakers on, we're just getting a little feedback from the listeners here. They're getting a little feedback in the show. So, no, yeah, we're good. Cool. So Nick, you were getting ready to say something. I'm sorry about that.
I'm just saying, again, this appeals to like a different segment of the collecting community. Those that might be, doing it for guys that are doing it for kicks, or like you said, they're prospecting or gambling, if you like to use that word. But people that have like a higher risk tolerance to throw around. If I came home and said I'm gonna throw a paycheck at a box of baseball cards, I don't know. The locks might be changed when I get home.
Definitely wouldn't be married for 3 years if that were the case. Yeah, I'm just gonna spend all of our car money and all of our food money and all of our rent on this box.
No, they're gorgeous cards though. I'm scrolling through right now. I mean, they're beautiful, but a lot of the resale are sitting at a lot of them are selling at $150, $200 minimum at buy it nows.
Well, yeah, you have to. You break down 10 cards, $1,600. Each card's got to be at least $160 to get even break even. This is a box I will love to watch open by somebody else.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the beauty of having our friends like Mojo Break is, to a small degree, you can get your fix by watching them open it on other people's dimes. Enjoy the product, see what the product is, because again, it's not entirely like right now. There's a Nolan Ryan out of 25 listed for $200 or best offer. That's not a bad price for something that's a high end product of a Hall of Famer that's low numbered. If you have $200 to spend, you got a birthday coming up, you got a special occasion coming up, put it on your Christmas list. You can get cards out of this product at a
there was just some
price.
Yeah, Steph just had a McGuire that was at a 25 for $90 or best offer. That's not bad. It was a good looking McGuire. It's that home run swing of when he was with the Cardinals. And there's a cut auto of some guy named Honus Wagner. I don't know. Yeah, that's why you buy a product like this, is to be able to be like, oh, I have a Honus Wagner autograph.
Hey, you could do worse. I mean, we see guys all the time. I just bought 2 hobby boxes of such and such at $100 a piece, and I got nothing. Cool. Well, take that $200 and invest in one card that is of your favorite player.
What if we get one card then, man?
I know.
There was a guy, Cardboard, I kind of tweeted this out last week, that bought a blaster of, I think, Heritage and pulled a Buster Posey, single color relic and was upset. And this is trash and Topps is trash. Dude, look at the odds. Hits and blasters aren't that common. You beat the odds. If you don't like it, then don't buy the blaster, because it's not like you're going to pull out a one-of-one Mickey Mantle autograph or whatever you're trying to find in there for your $19.99. So, anyway. So here we go. We're going to the Gold Standard. 2019 Panini Gold Standard Football launched today. $182 a box, 1 pack per box, 7 cards per pack. You're going to get 5 autos and/or mem cards, 2 base or parallel cards. It's a 339 card base set if you include like all of the relics and patches and autos and stuff that they include. All the base cards are numbered out of 99. This is a newer product with the rookies in their NFL uniforms for the first time. And the rookie jersey autographs are one of the staples of this product. So Gold Standard's been one of those it's interesting. I feel like this is early in the year for Gold Standard because usually this, I believe this is more of an end season product. At least it has been in the past, I believe. Don't quote me there, but I believe so.
Or is it from last year?
No, this is 19.
1920 or 1819?
No, 2019. They don't have split years like that sport on ice.
Like the best sport.
Basketball. So so another good. This is a little bit higher end release. I mean, you're talking only getting a pack and 7 cards, but you're gonna pull 5 autos and bless you if you try to put a base set together because there's only 99 of each card and you're gonna get maybe 2 out of each box.
What do you guys think about that? So, when I open products like museum collection or like tier 1, now they're not serial numbered, but there's only like 5 base cards in the box, and then there's 100 cards in the set. What purpose do these base cards serve if it's almost impossible to put together a set, or if not impossible, like extremely arduous to put together a set?
10 years ago, I would argue that they were essentially just filler to offset the odds. Nowadays, I would say that they're used to offset breakers. Hey, buy one, get one 15 slot for whatever league. Naturally, there's only going to be 8 relics per the case. Okay, well, there's 8 teams or maybe duplicates, but the others might get a base card. I'm not saying that they're catering per se to the breakers, but it seems like that would make an obvious argument for having a set just like this.
That's probably the best explanation. Player collectors as well. Yeah,
sure.
More stuff to pursue.
Our buddy Van the Man on Twitter, one of the guys that opens a lot of product at the LCS, Lee, gave him all the base cards, and I want to say it was tier 1. And he has like 2 complete base sets of tier 1. He might be the only man in history. And I think this was from 18. That has 2 complete sets of tier 1. And I think that's the product because he left all the base behind. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. Well, and I could definitely see this being super popular in a sport like basketball, where you're not necessarily a fan of the team, but you're more a fan of individual players as they move around the league.
Yeah. And Cardboard Icons has a good point. He goes, I think the rookie base from those high-end sets and products are generally underappreciated. Yeah, I mean, because you think, if you have a base rookie at a 99 and that guy hits and becomes something big, at some point in time, that's more than just really a base card. It's, it's a really nice version of a base rookie card for that player. So,
well, and I had done a review for our website on Panini Noir basketball, where all the base cards were numbered out of 85, but there's 2 base cards for each player. And so you would need both LeBron James. If they sat side by side, it creates the full Laker logo. And cool. So with that, I don't think the intent would ever be to complete. There are, I think, 100 cards. So 70 cards. So there's 70 plus 70, A and B. I don't think you're supposed to get all 70 of both. I think you're just supposed to go out and grab both of your favorite player or players or team, depending on how you choose to collect. There's a market for them, but by and large, you're probably right, Nick. They're probably throwaway cards, like Tim mentioned.
I mean, it's interesting because, right, these cards come in like, boxes itself for like $100-$150, and you have like 4 tier 1 cards, and literally the base cards can't command like they don't even command like $1 on eBay.
Yeah. And that's what's nice about being a player collector is I love that they're included in there because a lot of times they're some of the nicer base cards that are made each year. Like,
they're solid. Yeah,
Inception, Museum Collection are always some of my favorites because they're thicker, just more solid. Colors pop. You do, yeah. I know that's your fave, but
and especially the thicker size, they definitely make for better either in stadium signatures or through the mail.
Yeah, there's a place. It's just probably a very small market. To Nick's point, right. I don't think a lot of people are getting excited about these coming in the mail, unless you're like us. I use that word very loosely. There's a lot of people out there that are going to pursue them on the secondary market and be excited. but it's probably a small contingency.
We also had 2018-19 Upper Deck Limited Ultimate. I can read. Ultimate Collection Hockey came out today. $135 a box, 1 pack per box, 4 cards per pack. Your box break is going to net 1 rookie autograph or rookie autograph mem card, 2 additional autographs indoor mem cards, and 1 base card, parallel or ultimate introductions. So again, very limited on the base cards. Really hit heavy on the product. All base cards are numbered out of 149. It's full of, like I said, autographs, relics, and low-numbered base cards. The rookies are divided up into 4 levels, each progressively tougher to pull. So there's a Tier 1 that are the most common. They're 1 in 3 packs, and Tier 4 is 1 in every 12 packs. So those better rookies are going to be most likely in a higher tier. But this is a really good-looking set. This has some really nice photography, and the way they, like right here, that Ultimate Icons, that little patch. It's not a huge patch, as you show here, but it's on the left-hand side of the card, and it's got like this silver eye for icons, and just a little piece of the jersey in there, but a great photo of Patrick Kane on there. So it gives a nice look to the card, even though it's not a giant swatch of material, but still interesting. And Steph, as our hockey collector, what do you think?
Well, I mean, Upper Deck definitely excels in the photography department. They're simply pound for pound, outside of maybe Stadium Club, no other company that does better photos. Some of the relics look nice. Mind you, these are all just mostly mock-ups. And I'm definitely seeing some of the major rookie names with Pedersen and Middlestat and Svechnikov and Rasmussen. Bless you. Yes, I know. And some of the mock-up designs themselves, like the shield material, looks really nice, and I would definitely go out and collect a wild or two if I could afford the box. A second-hand market is definitely where it'd come in naturally.
Yeah, no, it's a nice little high-end product to end the season. And hockey's been over for a little while, so a lot of the higher-end products come out later, and just to get those on-card autographs into the product, because the players have some more time. What's brewing next week's releases? 2019 Topps Allen and Ginter, which I'm very excited about. 2019 Panini Donruss Optic. 2018-19 Panini Opulence Basketball drops as well. So, guys, real quick, too, if you missed the first few minutes of the show, I wanted to I was going to give you some more information on Replin real quick. It's pretty cool. So it's, feel free to look back at the beginning, the first couple minutes of the show, and check it out. But essentially, Replin helps sellers build their personal brand and sell online without high fees. So you get rid of all those eBay fees and other website fees. They have a really cool integration with Twitter where you can connect your account, mention on Replin, and your sale item will get posted on the Replin marketplace, so buyers can find your stuff. It's a lot easier than browsing Twitter all day. So if you go to the on Replin website as well, you can find stuff there. I listed a few things recently, so if anyone wants to check that out, I have some pretty good deals on some Ultra Pro supplies. My Replin profile is replin.com/TBS Sports Cards. So let me know what you want. Head over to their website at replin.com or download the app on iOS or Android and check those out. So give me a heads up. Got some good stuff. I'm going to be putting some more stuff on there hopefully this week as I get some more free time. Because I want to slide into our Infield chat or our Hobby Talk section tonight. So
speaking of sliding in.
Oh, Kirby's titties. It's never going to... I need to make a shirt with that card on. I don't know if I get in trouble by putting that card on a shirt, but I have my quote on there.
It was mentioned in chat. I figured I'd give the people what they want.
Well, that's what you have to do. We have to appease the people that take the time to listen to our show.
Definitely.
At Boston Dad on Twitter tweeted out, "I'm the only one that expects to receive hits and top loaders when I buy into a break. I'm pretty disappointed to receive my hits like this, especially with a relatively high-end product." And so, if Steph can pull up the photo, this guy got it's just like one of the cases you can put 10 to 25 cards in.
Snap tight, whatever.
Snap tight case. Yeah, and it's high-end product because you can tell all of the cards are, 75, 100-point cards.
or higher,
because there's probably like a 130, 180 card in there in the middle,
somewhere in there,
and they're shipped like this. And they're not bad if you're going to store them just for a minute, but getting shipped, I mean, your corners could get dinged and chipped or something like that. No penny sleeves on there. And, when they put this out, some breaker, I think it was Buck City Breaks, came out and said, hey, don't put them on blast and check with them first. And they didn't say who I don't think they've ever said who the breaker actually was. But to me, that's just kind of cheaping out on the shipping and not doing right by your customer at the end of the day. What do you guys think?
No, I mean, I actually meant to mention this to you guys as a possible show topic because I got a package of Topps Tiffany, and mind you, it's not the same as these higher end cards. However, it was wrapped in essentially a homemade box. Inside the box, there was one top loader on each side, and the cards were wrapped in cellophane.
You know how much time that takes?
Or saran wrap.
It takes a lot of time.
With like a tissue or a napkin in between it. I'm like, oh, okay. I know they're not from 1987, but I just paid like $8 shipping and handling for 2 sets.
Real quick, right here, team bags. You get 100 of them for a few bucks. Anywhere.
The cards weren't sleeved.
Oh.
I've had this happen to me before, and I've been accused of being like the most negative person on Twitter before.
Wait,
I honestly don't have a problem with this.
Wait, so tissues and sleeved and cards wrapped in cellophane are okay with you?
No, not that part. The picture that he showed, as long as there's a piece of styrofoam or something in there to make sure that they're not rattling back and forth, as long as it's nice and tight in there, I'm okay with it. I mean, obviously, if you're putting 3 cards in there and it's yay thick and they're rattling, as long as it's nice and snug, I'm okay with it.
I'm afraid of chipping in that point, though.
I would argue how much you pay in shipping and handling.
Depends on
definitely to Ben's point. If there's like only one of these cards were in there and they shipped it like that, yeah, I'd have an obvious problem.
Do you guys think this is like a function of somebody just trying to get into breaking because they thought it was a good way to make money? Like,
Possibly.
They're not fully educated on like maybe the norms.
Could be.
Well, of what proper shipping. Like those thick cards are annoying. Like if you don't have the proper supplies around, it's like, oh, I gotta wait for some card savers or some like thicker, point holders to come in to mail stuff out. These folks are probably in such a rush. I'm not copping, please, right? In such a rush to get the product out.
Sure.
Right? They're like, oh, what's the most convenient thing? Let me take these plastic cases that hold 25 cards and just stuff them.
I wouldn't even say possibly. I'd say probably a fly-by-night operation wherein
a Facebook breaker, maybe.
Sure,
wants to pop up every day.
Yeah, the thing is you got to believe. Like, we talked about it before. If I'm breaking any product, it's only with one breaker, and it's just because I've done business with them and I know how they operate. It's Mojo Break, and I'm, ever pay us or plug us or anything. I'm just gonna say, I mean, they know they do it the right way. They're up front. I mean, they even have their own buyback product they do, and they don't sell the cases that they make of the buyback product just for true transparency, and they random all those. And so you got to trust the breaker. And this is probably a situation where you reach back out and say, hey, listen, I don't feel like this was shipped correctly. What are you going to do to make this right for me? And who knows, they might have done it. It brought it up to a bigger point about shipping, and we're going to get into it next week. We're going to have some special guest on next week talking about PWE. So very interesting. Seinfeld. You guys remember Jerry Seinfeld, right?
Never seen it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you are like 12 years old. So in the 90s, Jerry was real big, and he always had like little hints of baseball cards in the background of his show. And he too was a giant Mets fan. So as part of the Seinfeld night back on July 5th, a Jerry Seinfeld bobblehead was the main draw, but some Mets fans also got the chance to take up 4 Seinfeld baseball cards. The checklist features the 4 lead characters. And the cards came sealed in a small baggie with a full set of all 4. The fronts have a portrait of the character with full Mets markings, colors, and even a position of where the player, the position where they might play. So Lane Bennis was a third baseman. What did they have? George Costanza was the catcher. Cosmo Kramer's the shortstop, and Jerry Seinfeld was just the captain. So pretty interesting. Able to do notable quotes, some stats on the back about the characters. So I love Seinfeld growing up. It's a good looking card. So what do you guys? Huh? No cards for you.
Haha.
So
my buddy went to the game and picked up one, and he was like, he couldn't scrounge up another pack. He was like, I tried. He's like, I can only get the one for myself.
Do you know if they were given out in a 4-pack set or if they were 1-on-1?
No, they were
giving out in a 4-pack set, but he just said that he couldn't get anybody else to come up off theirs.
Yeah, no, that was just cool. So Topps had a release, and I didn't really notice about this until I was on the website today, but they're doing a 2019 Topps Z release with Francisco Lindor. Topps sat down with Lindor to collaborate on creating his very own trading card set. They did the same thing last year with Topps X. It's Topps Z. Trust me.
I'm looking at it.
Well, it was Topps Z earlier today because I pulled it right from the page.
Because
so they did.
They're trying to do like the shoe market and game market where it's like one company crosses over with other company.
Well, it was Topps Z earlier today. I can tell you that. But they sat down with Lindor to create his very own trading card set. They did this last year with Bryce Harper. The finished product developed in creative meetings. It captures the essence of Francisco Lindor, they say. His energy and swag, his love of the game and history, its history and future and heritage. So it's going to include generational icons. There's 25 of those. Puerto Rican heritage cards, which there's 15. And then 2011 draft class, 10 cards there. A complete set you can pick up for $24, or you can get the collector's edition for $50. You're going to get one guaranteed autograph or relic card in there. So
nice.
Some of these mock-ups look nice, and unlike last year where they had Harper, it's nice to see that they were a little bit more even on which teams got included.
We had like the best hair guys. I thought that was funny, but.
It'll be interesting to see moving forward if we're going to see 1 to 2 of these per year now that this is the second set like this that's dropped.
Right.
And then we're going to see Bellinger next year.
Oh, would he put his dad in the product though?
It just the two
Major League, that would be a good one because you could have Major League fathers and sons, like his favorite combos.
Yeah, you could have Biggio and Griffey and so many others, that are both
Guerreros.
Well, you guys know I was looking at the Allen and Ginter checklist before the show started. Both Guerreros are in the set.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. See, Topps needs to bring back the old father-son that I forget which year they had it in the 70s.
Yes.
They did it a few years ago.
Did they do one?
They did it in the Topps archives, like maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, it needs to be. I think it needs to be in the base flagship set, though. There's so many guys now. That would be super duper cool.
Like Bichette.
Yeah, the Bichettes, the Guerreros,
Biggio.
The Biggios. Yeah, there's enough guys where I think they could probably do like 10.
Well, you could do Cano. His dad played too.
You could do Bobby Witt now that Junior got drafted.
Well, no, because he's not debuted yet, so you can't do that. See,
but here's the thing though, with the fact that there's so many of us that are right around that 37 to 45-year-old age range that are in back into the hobby over the last half dozen to dozen years, is a lot of our fan favorites from kids. Guys like Biggio, Guerrero, guys that we grew up watching now have kids.
Yeah,
much like I'm sure it was for the people that were collecting. Back in those days when you had Buddy Bell and
Mike and David and
Ruben Rivera.
There's a lot of. I think it would be a fun set, and do it like a Throwback Thursday or something where it's isolated outside. You could always do that too.
And don't forget Tatis, the Tatis boys. Yeah,
Tatis, Bellinger, Jock Peterson. His dad played too.
Yep.
I think it'd be a fun set. And if they did it where, if you came up with like 15 father-son sets, did 5 in each of the flagships, just like they're doing all these other sets that are continuations between, series 1, 2, and update.
Yeah, it would be a good idea if Topps released that right around Father's Day.
Yeah, you know what would also be nice too is they promoted their create your own card on the Topps website with the 2019 design for Father's Day, but yet it's not on there to make. So come on, guys, let's get it going. It's already July.
Basic marketing here, guys.
Yeah, but why stop there? Why not when there were the boyhood photos that they did in the 70s?
Well, that'd be neat.
There was a lot of cool.
Giving ideas away tonight. We're printing them money.
Yeah.
I hope they're listening tonight.
They should call on the Red Batman hotline and ask our opinion.
I know they used to listen. Remember when we were guessing all the Topps living, and they would show up. Come on, where's George Brett, guys? Please. Last night we had the All-Star game. I only got to catch part of it. I'm kind of sad I didn't get to see the whole thing. Out of all the All-Star games, it's probably the best because most of the All-Star games are terrible. But he brought up an interesting spot. Who is the most underrated All-Star to collect? So I'm not talking about like like Mike Trout, right? Okay, everybody collects Mike Trout, right? Like you're not taking the Mike Trout card and throwing it away, right? So who are some of the most underrated guys to collect? So Ben, who are your two guys? We're gonna have one from the National League each and one from the American League.
And full disclosure, we were talking about this because we had done this variations of this in the past. We always try to come up with different guys just for the sake of argument, but something like this, having the same guys is kind of poignant on the fact that they're underrated to the point where we agree. For the NL, I chose Josh Bell. I know he's having a career year. I think he's still under the radar for a lot of collectors and the hobby in general. I think he's kind of taking baseball by storm with his just what he's doing. His RBI total is already approaching 100 here at the midseason mark. So he's definitely somebody playing for a smaller market team too. Pirates, the Rays, the Royals, the Twins, the A's. A lot of these teams just nationally don't get as much recognition. So he's who I went with the NL, and AL is the Rays rookie Brandon Lowe, who kind of plays all over the infield. He's having a really solid year as well, and I don't know what the market on his cards are quite yet, but I'm sure a lot of his stuff probably can be had for fairly inexpensive compared to other rookies and up and coming stars.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Bell, it just made me think about something. I got a message somebody about Josh Bell, but he was kind of like a huge prospect and then kind of fizzled out just a little bit and then didn't have a great year. And all of a sudden this year, he has just put it together and played well. And both these guys are in smaller markets. And I think that's kind of important to look there. And I think, home runs pay off, right? Sure. People collect guys that put home, balls over the fence. So that does help there a little bit. So, Steph, who are your two guys?
Well, so one thing before we move. With Bell, his mom actually teaches or teached anyway.
Taught.
I don't know if she's still
or even taught.
We'll taught you English real quick, like.
Hey, look, history and math were my better subjects, not English. No, his mother taught at the University of Texas Arlington here in the economics section, where my dad was one of her least favorite students, in that he was older than her and kind of knew more than what she knew. But he passed, so that's all that matters. Nothing against him, obviously. However, no, my two picks, I'm going to go local as well with Joey Gallo. He's not super young. However, dude can mash home runs like Chris Davis and, what's the Reds outfielder? Adam Dunn used to do. Kind of the three true outcomes, either strikeout, home run, or
Jay Bruce.
Jay Bruce, exactly.
Yeah. No, yeah. Gallo was on my short list, by the way.
Of course.
Yep. He grew up playing Little League with Bryce Harper and Chris Bryant.
Nice.
Not a bad Little League out of Vegas there.
No, it's not. Definitely not. And then for the National League, I chose a bigger market with the Mets, Jeff McNeil. And not just because I want some of his Panini cards to actually sell, But no, I mean he finished in the Rookie of the Year balloting last year. He didn't win or anything, and maybe on his 23 doubles and his 349 batting average, he's kind of an underrated all-star. Plus, I think it was second base, outfield, third base, kind of.
Is he the new Zobrist?
Arguably, you can make that. Yeah.
We got Nick on. He's a Mets expert.
Yeah, I haven't seen enough defensively yet from McNeil to compare him to Zobrist. But he's just got a nice, easy swing, man. I like the way he hits.
Yeah,
reminds me of a guy who played ball for a long time. He's just got,
it's easy. It's
got a good
smooth.
swing.
Yeah,
just easy.
Yeah.
You guys asked about two. I'm thinking of perennial all-stars that don't get talked about a lot. National League, I'm thinking Zach Greinke.
Sure.
I didn't realize someone posted recently he's got Hall of Fame type numbers, and I looked. I'm yeah, especially if you wipe his first 2 or 3 seasons that were just uncharacteristically rough.
Yeah, but he was playing for which team now?
Yeah, but you know what? He brought us a whole bunch of guys that helped us win a World Series, so I'm okay.
Yeah, he's on Arizona,
right? Young with us, yeah.
Yeah, and so I would say he doesn't get talked about or really has I don't think he has a huge hobby following. And then American League, I would say Lindor. Lindor is good, but he doesn't get talked about enough the way he should with the way that he plays baseball. He's just excellent at shortstop, can hit. I think he's a great face for MLB also. I'm happy that he, they gave him that set. Being in Cleveland, the All-Star game was there. But, again, the talk's always around Harper, Trout. Now even Alonso, Guerrero Jr., and people forget that Lindor is arguably the best at his position in baseball.
Even a teammate of his, that Jose Ramirez. Right?
Oh yeah, sure. He hit the snot out of the ball too.
We've talked about him previously and how he's been underrated. And early on in the season, we talked about, I think it was right before the season started, Ben, wasn't it? We talked about guys that had underrated rookie cards, and one of them was Kristen Yelich, and his base update card was a $5-6 card.
Yeah.
And then
before this season started?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
It was under $10.
Isn't it when we talked?
No, yeah, it was selling for 50 or 60 a month ago, and
we talked about how that
before
card
the season,
was a after card, and it was he was so underrated. Then he started having he won an MVP, and his cards were still undervalued.
Ramirez has dropped off a cliff though, and I don't know how much of that at first was Lindor was not in the lineup to start the season, but Jose Ramirez is having a tough season. I thought that guy was going to be a superstar. But
there are times where guys might, that have an off season here or there. But I mean, he's been one of those guys that too got the last handful of years. You kind of look back, man, that's a good player. So my guys, one's a younger guy, one's a little bit older. So my NL guy is Freddie, the franchise Freeman, the first baseman of the Atlanta Braves.
Good choice.
I think that he's just. The Braves have not been really competitive since he's been there, but now as they get there, he is now the elder statesman of this amazingly young team. And I have a feeling he's one of those guys that will always be a Brave. This is the guy they won't trade or let go. He will be that guy, and I just think that we're going to look back, and if once he retires, and go, man, did we just not pay attention enough while he was playing to really value what a good teammate and player that this guy was for his team. I think Freddie's right there. My NL guy is Austin Meadows, the outfielder of the Rays. So there's 2 Rays in here, which I think is interesting. They got him from the Pirates last year to mid-season deal. He was a big-time prospect, just couldn't break into that outfield they had in Pittsburgh. And, Tampa's a spot where he can go and shine, and they're playing good ball. They're a young team, and, hopefully they can figure something out where they can get fans to come to the games and support guys like Brandon Lau and Austin Meadows and what Tommy Pham and some of the other guys they have down there. So just some guys to watch out. And
one last thing on Freeman. We did a segment quite some time ago on you can collect one player, but he can't be from your team. And I remember we were talking about Arenado, and I think you went with Goldschmidt, didn't you?
Yeah, Goldie was one. I think one.
Yeah,
yeah.
But Freeman was on both of our lists. He was a guy that we talked about and said, because because I know that we both kind of went with Arenado first.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, well, I'll take one. And then I think we both are like, what about Goldschmidt? And it's like, all right, you take one, I'll take one. And then Freeman was on a short list of like 4 or 5 guys.
Arenado's another guy I don't think gets the love that he should.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then also, man, you look at that Rockies team. Like, despite the fact that I'm a homer for just one player on that team, I always vowed to hate the Rockies ever since they turned me down for an internship, 17, 18 years ago. But they have a good little squad, man. I would love to see them kind of make a push and chase those bastard Dodgers down and put it out there with Blackman, and Arenado. So it'd be great to see them some more. But just some underrated I think guys that just don't get the credit because we always talk about the same 5 guys. It's like whenever you hear about the NFL or NBA drafts or any Major League Baseball draft, they always talk about 5 guys all the time, right? 5 or 6 guys, and that's all you hear of. So that's all you know, and they don't forget about all the other guys. These guys are all-stars. These guys are some of the best players in baseball, the best guys on their team, and I don't think they're getting the love that they should. And I think one day we're going to look back and go, man, we really missed out on X, Y, and Z. So just our little point of view there. So, guys, hot packs. I love me some hot packs, right? Because you can touch them and you're just like, oh, this pack is a good one. So Platinum Card Breaks had a video out, and I didn't watch the whole thing, but they were opening Bowman. And this was brought out to us by a few different folks, one being the Hobby Scams on Twitter. But they're opening hot packs, and they were saying, yeah, these are hot packs made by Topps. They were opening a box of Bowman, and every pack had an autograph in it. Okay, to me, does not happen. So it looks like they were having repacks from eBay, and the reason why there's some proof. So the first one was a 2011 Bowman Chrome Luis Heredia Superfractor was pulled right here, and Steph's showing the Superfractor pulled, and the guy's wearing gloves, so you know they're professional. So it was pulled from a loose pack, but guess what? This card previously had been graded by BGS. And now all of a sudden it's not graded, and it's in this hot pack. Not sure what to think there, right? And so there's even more proof. Users are alleging that at Platinum Card Breaks, this is the tweet, and there's a video, knowingly broke resealed product. The resealed is at the 27-minute mark. So we'll send out these links and the tweet out the videos and stuff. But you definitely see guys struggling to open packs of cards, and there was also one with a red refractor that was at the 37-45 mark, right? Yeah. That was also so. I don't know if you guys got a chance to look at the videos. I watched some of it. I watched the 27-minute mark part where they talked about, and then the Superfractor. It's
they're definitely scammers. To what degree, I don't know, because I don't know enough about Platinum Breaks. But
at least this definitely was hinky.
Well, see, and you want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they had bought some bum packs, or they bought some packs under false intentions, false whatever. But when you watch it, it just looks so planned. That's not really the word I'm looking for, but it just seems like their integrity was definitely questionable on this particular break, which now calls into question every break they've ever had. And I would definitely not break with them moving forward. At the time I watched the video, 12 people had responded on YouTube with a thumbs up or thumbs down, and they were all thumbs down. Kind of shows you
2 and 58.
Yeah. Shows you how many people trust their integrity and agree with hobby scams that these guys are at the very least shady.
Yeah. What's interesting with the recent developments with even that break and them showing the picture of the card that was graded and then put back into these hot packs. Technology is really allowing a lot of these guys to tell on themselves, right? Like with the trimming, and then people pulling up scans of stuff that's sold at auctions, and they're zooming in on the cards and showing the exact spots of the imperfections and showing how it's the same card, and then they send it back and it got graded with like a higher grade from the grading companies. Like, I think the hobby is getting smarter about policing itself in this regard, especially in cases where now there's like digital evidence to do so because of like historical transaction.
Yeah, no, and it's crazy. I mean, we're bringing up Sports Card News posted that another card trimmer has been exposed on the blowout forums. This time it's Metro Sports owner Brandon Tang. Tang defended himself. If it goes to court, I'm prepared, and I hope. So I hope so. I also hope, and he puts the user, the 312-5408 is also. They put an article on their website at sportscardradio.com. Tang gave an explanation of how he ends up with trim cards. He's quoted saying, "Some cards recycled back to me, and that's the truth. While buying collection, I'm not going to remember every serial number card. If a card looks good, I'm going to submit it for grading." There was some evidence that shows some of the identified cards were purchased before any trimming by Tang himself on eBay, and he admits to submitting the cards to PSA. So this guy's in the hobby, and he also has some connections. If you check out the article, to some other accused sports card trimmers, like Scissor Hands and some of the nicknames that Colin and Ryan have given to some of the notorious folks in the industry. The one touch.
So he's quoted as saying, "Some cards recycled back to me, and that's the truth while buying collections." So if I go to the store right now and break a 20 or break a $100 bill, right? I'm spending like $58. I get 2 20s and a couple ones back, and one of those 20s happen to be counterfeit. That's basically what he's saying. However, when you look at all the evidence that the ComC user had presented on Blowout forum, you don't have 120 in your possession. You have stacks of 20s, essentially.
Yeah.
So at what point do we look at you and go, you didn't randomly end up with 1 or 2 of these here? You're the counterfeiter. In other words, and the pictures that Steph's sharing right now show before and after photos of corners and card surfaces and edges that have obviously been altered by someone. And this guy just so happened to end up with quite a few of them. Again, that's when the red flags start going.
Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting in the next few weeks when everybody gets together and they figure out, I don't know. But the guys putting in work on the blowout forums, like the FBI, needs to hire these guys just to investigate murders and crimes, because these dudes are like Criminal Minds level of CSI investigation team. It's crazy, and I give them props because no one's paying them to do this.
Never doubt
the love of their hobby.
Never doubt what someone with a lot of free time can do if they set their mind to it. Yeah, weaponized detective work.
Yeah. So I would not screw with these guys. I don't want to take them out for a hot beverage or something one night, right? So also Hobby Scams put out, you make the call. What did PWCC Marketplace mean here? Michael Holt Sports Card Scammers Exposed Facebook group. So it was interesting. If I'm going to pull up the post if you can.
I got it.
All right, I'm going to read it off here because it was a lot. So he actually sent a picture where it says, this is from Michael Holt on this Facebook page. Here's some confirmed text messages from Mr. PWCC himself, encouraging shill bidding on a card he purchased slabbed as SGC before he had it altered and reslabbed by PSA. It's hard to believe he isn't playing an active role in the mess going on today. I avoid his auctions at all costs. It's up to you to do the same. Make collecting great again. So it's like a quote here, or a text that says, grab the high bid in the DiMaggio. It took too much. You're pumping the auction and have a few complaints. So, it's just basically, there are many bids that are under 1,000. It says, take the high bid. I assure that the bid will go higher.
You'll be outbid.
You'll be outbid.
And then the person replying back, I'm bidding in 1K increments like you asked previously. Cancel my bids if there's a problem. I'm not doing anything 10 million other people wouldn't do.
Yeah. So these guys, like there needs to be no place for them in the hobby. I mean, last week on the Mojo Break podcast, now I told you how they made their own product, right? Their buyback product. They were buying a lot of product from Propstein and previously from PWCC. They were buying cards to put into that product, and they're stopping with PWCC because of all these allegations against them with the shield bidding, all that stuff. They're also stopping from buying from Propstein because of the Tyler Skaggs, where they listed deceased in one of their auctions for one of his autograph cards. And we're talking, this happened the same day the kid passed away. And they took down it later on, but you can't take it back. It's out there. People saw it. People, shared it. And he goes, we do quite a bit, and they said they spend $50,000 or more on buying buyback cards throughout the year for their products, and they're not buying from them anymore. And they're going to rally the other breakers that do this or other guys that do this to stop buying from them because of that, and because of this. With Pete and Dan said, "Yeah, I'm carrying this flag, like toting the flag around, saying this is my personal goal." And those guys have a lot of say in the hobby within that community of breakers, and all this together with the trim cards and the shill bidding and using those terms and being that prominent in the hobby. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean,
it's desperation.
It is.
It's despair, right? Like, if you've been around the hobby long enough, and you can think back to like your experiences, like as a kid and going to stores, and possibly like you may have ran into good card shop owners and other guys that were like, maybe trying to swindle you the first time you went to show. Maybe I remember offering up a trade and kind of getting gypped like on a trade back then. And I'm like, now I'm looking back, I'm like, well, if you were like a 30-something-year-old guy willing to do this to like a 12-year-old kid, right? Like, where, over something that really is like a $2-3 difference on a transaction. Now there's bigger money in play, right? Like, this just reeks of desperation when you're doing stuff like trimming cards and shill bidding and trying to put something in a listing of an auction and make it sell for $5 more than it normally would have. Like, the realm of things, this is like small money, you know what I mean? It's like small change that people are trying to fight over.
For what, for your reputation. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well,
and it's ridiculous that people in the hobby, like the actual true, are going back to these guys time in and time out. Like, why?
Well, and it seems like it's a repeat of the Operation Fellball and Mastro situation where, they claim that all of these were true signatures and they weren't trimmed, and all of these were not shill bidded on, and then the FBI comes in and, hey, they were shill bidded. Some of the autos were fake, and the Gretzky, Honus Wagner is trimmed. Tell me where you've heard that before.
Right?
Oh, that's right. Direct parallels.
Yeah, it's just a slightly different, but it is. To me, it's just it's Bootsy, and I don't get it. Chris Torres said, I tweeted about the first offer I accepted on the Skaggs card was before I knew he'd passed. I actually felt bad sending out the package, but also didn't want to cancel the order. Yeah, I mean, because he had autographed cards in recent products, and so I know Chris breaks a lot and sells it on his eBay store. And I remember you talking about like you at the time you were conflicted. Do I sell the card or not? Like, do I just let it?
I mean, he had an autograph in Stadium Club.
Yeah, I think that's what I think that's the product it was in, and it's just, man, it's like, those guys that had it up before, and then this happens in mid-season, but then it's a weird spot. But if you're putting ripped or deceased in there, like that's over the line, like right off the bat. I mean,
without referencing a conversation I had this evening about something that was added to a listing that I felt was like, come on, dude, it's a cheap manipulation of a listing. Anytime you're using cheap SEO marketing tactics and crap like that, especially when there's somebody that's deceased, I mean, it's not fair to.
You don't see somebody listen to Mickey Mail card and says deceased in it, right?
Right. I mean,
like here, like look at the Boughton book, right? If I open the inside of the first page, He just passed away. It was announced like a few hours ago. I don't know if you guys
a couple hours ago.
That's the signature on the inside, right? Like, what? I could have just, as soon as like that news broke like 2 hours ago, like what, ran to eBay for like Jim Bowden, ball forward, deceased, $50, right? Like,
yeah, you could have, but
why? You know what I'm saying? But why, right?
Yeah. If you need the money that bad, hey, but that's really what it comes down to. You're just being.
It goes back to it. People are desperate.
Yeah, you're just being an a-hole.
Well, they're desperate, or I'll say this, right? Coming from a financial perspective, right? I know you're pretty big on finance. Dudes are in debt, right? Like a lot of these guys that might be breaking or even collecting, like they can't control their spending habit on cards.
True.
They're in debt, and if they can make a few extra dollars, that might fix the bills. Like it might make the bills look a little bit more even at the end of the month.
Yeah. What is funny about this whole topic, and when I say funny, it's more of a tale of two cities, the angel versus the devil on your shoulder, not funny as in ha. Twitter was very big on all the feedback I got was, hey, if you're going to try to sell his stuff, unfriend me now or I'll block you. And going over
That's
to Facebook,
an overreaction too.
It is. You go over to Facebook and everybody's like, what? I don't see a problem with it. Capitalize on the market. And it's just like looking at the two social media platforms and looking to see how they were lopsided in the overall expression and opinions on it. But our good friend Rich Klein, Uncle Rich, wrote a good piece on
great article.
Go GTS in Klein's Corner about I know he reached out to a few people, myself included, saying, hey, what do you think about this? There you go, the Bowden deceased.
No.
There you go.
Yeah, people never cease to amaze
Looks
me.
like this is the only result that pops up with Bowden. And
hey, what's the name of this Yahoo, by the way?
Better Than Rippin'.
Yeah. Well.
So yeah, if you haven't read Rich's piece on this subject, because it is a very touchy subject, and some people are going to be extreme one direction or the other, capitalize while you can, and other people are like, you're disgusting. Regardless of what side you fall on, it's a good piece. Kind of see what Rich's opinion.
I don't know if any of you guys are on sportscollectors.net.
I am not.
So.
Right, so that's like a big autograph collecting site, and
oh yeah, SEN, right?
Yeah,
right.
They have a moratorium. When a guy passes, you can't put stuff up for at least a week, like unless it was already up. But like you can't start a thread and be like, oh, here's my 10 Bowden cards that I got over the years. Like,
right,
yeah.
So they have a 1 week rule there,
and he'll still have a market in 8 days.
Yeah, he's always going to have a market because of the book.
He will. I was just when I said I suppose it was covering anybody that would fall under that whether it be Skaggs or whomever. Ross Perot passed away. This
right.
Hey, I'm talking here.
Anybody that passes away, okay, that's it. They can't sign anything else. We understand that. You can wait a couple of days. You'll still get maximum value. If that's your thing. Just
speaking of maximum value.
And two things on that.
Oh, go ahead.
One, if you guys ever make it to Dallas, you guys have to check out the Perot Museum. Amazing museum, worth the time. And two, I was kind of saddened to see that, and we'll cover it next week, but Ginter's checklist has a cut auto of Stan Lee. He previously had Ginter signed cards.
Yeah. Interesting. I didn't go all the way through the checklist of the autos, but we did post the checklist on About the Cards website today. So, as I was saying, Chris Torres at CRT_sports cards, our buddy, I think he's still around in the chat, tweeted out earlier this week, there's basically nothing worse on eBay, well, besides what we just talked about, than sellers that setting auto decline on a best offer listing. I'm essentially telling you to take my money, and when I get the auto decline, it feels like you just gave me the finger. So this was ended up being an amazing discussion on Twitter about offers and buying and selling on cards, which led to a really good article that Ben posted on our site this week about pricing cards and different different people selling and buying and pricing out cards and how to do so. So, I have a lot of stuff I list on my store with best offers, and I don't ever have an auto decline on any offer. One is sometimes I don't know what the market is on something because there's one or two that have sold, but it's been a while, or the prices of the other buy it nows are varied quite a bit. And so I want to put in, see what the market is and what people offer. And if I get a lowball bid once the product has first been on there, I'll decline it and I'll take a look at it and I want to think about it, and see. But if I get a good offer right away, there was like times where I was selling last year. Remember this, guys, when the update, I pulled the gold Ginter out of the silver packs out of 50. And I was like, what should I put it at? And I think you guys all said 50 to, it's a $50 or $60 card. I put it for like best offer at $80, and within minutes, someone offered me $65. And I was like, cool, boom, accept. Like, that was in the price range where we thought the card should value. I put a little bit higher, and the guy came back and it was a good offer. So it's just one of those things. So what do you guys think? What's your feeling on buy it nows where there's an auto client already set up?
Well, and I've seen. Go ahead, Nick.
No, sorry. Thank you. I personally feel like that's your floor stuff you don't want to deal with. So I think some of the examples that were given in the thread was like, let's say theoretically you're asking $50 and someone throws out like 10 or 15. Like, I don't want to deal with an offer that's like 20 or 30% of what I'm asking. And I know the counter the argument, I'd be like, well, that might actually be the market, and that might be true, but like, I don't know if I want to, like, I don't even want to entertain that if someone's going to look at a price and be like, well, I'll shoot out something a fifth or a third of what is being asked. Like, as a seller, I don't really want to entertain that. So I like have an auto decline just to be like, okay, I have I have a bottom in my head, and if you don't meet it, like, then I'm not going to have the discussion because I don't have the time to go back and forth. Now, I will say this though, with the best offer option, what I have noticed, honestly, is most of the times that first offer, unless it's like a super high in demand card, is probably going to be the best offer you're going to get on the card.
Yeah, because someone's looking for it.
What's that? Because someone's looking for it. I've had stuff that like has been up. I've got an offer. I'm like, oh, this seems a little bit low. Let me like counter it. And I counter like somewhere maybe in between, or, maybe 20% up from like what they have. And then they decline it. And then I don't get an offer for the rest of the month.
Yeah. Yeah, I had something weird I sold the other day. So I had a complete series run box. It was a Foot Locker box set of G.I. Joe the cartoon on DVD from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I opened it. I never watched any of them, but I had it. And because I used to work at Best Buy, and I got a super steal on it one day. And I was like, sometime I'll go through it and enjoy it. Just never did. And I was cleaning up. And so I went on eBay and I saw they were selling for like anywhere from $100 to $200. And so I put it up for $175 and $15 shipping and best offer. And someone offered me $150 for it, and they were going to pay the shipping. And I was like, boom, sold. Like, that's yours, dude. Like, because it was like it offered within half an hour of me putting it up. And there were 6 or 7 others to bid on. And so I knew, like, hey, I should jump on this one. It's a good value. I didn't even pay half of that when I bought it. But what happens though, like if the market shifts on a player, right? So say you have something up there as a buy it now and you set it for 30 days and all of a sudden the guy,
gets hurt, goes cold.
Yeah.
Steroids. Sure.
Yeah. Gets arrested. I mean, Ben, you were really involved in this conversation and
no, and I was trying to be as neutral as possible. I can see Chris's side, and Chris is coming from the seller's perspective. Basically he's saying keep an open dialogue with any prospective buyers, because maybe they're not a buyer on this particular item, but I don't want to turn that buyer off to my other sales, my other listings. And I use the auto decline, so I don't want to come across as a hypocrite and say, oh, it's bad. If it's a static market, if we know the card roughly sells for around $100, give or take, putting an auto decline at $59.99 is not a bad thing, because you're cutting out all of the small. Anybody that's looking for a sweetheart deal, they're gone. But that doesn't mean that you might not be motivated to sell it at 65, even though it's still below market value currently. I might, that $65, like Nick was saying earlier, with the guys that are trying to pay the bills. Hey, end of the month comes up, $65 pays my phone bill, pays this, that, or the other thing, and my desperation level has changed. But again, in the article that I wrote, I referenced a card that I had bought that I've mentioned here before. Guy lists it for $125. It's a $5 card. Obviously, when I offer him $5, he's going to feel insulted. But he doesn't know the market for the said player from that product. And he's grossly overpriced. And at the time, he was the only one that had that card listed. So it is technically supply and demand, but really, really thin, because more are going to populate in soon.
Yeah, well, once it comes to it, he watched a printing plate cycle through. He'd buy it now for 5 months at $80, and finally submitted an offer for $12, saying, I bought the other, sold for one for $9.99, and they accepted his offer. So they had to list it for $80 and took $12. Well, but that's not knowing your market of your card, right?
Now, take it away from eBay. Let's say like you're on a different platform like Craigslist or like Facebook Marketplace, where
you're going to say a show.
Yeah, a show where there is no auto decline, where like you look at somebody that has something listed on like Facebook, you see it's like wildly overpriced. And then it's like, you know, your price is so far like apart from what the other person wants. Is it even worth sending them a message and being like, I can offer you 10, not 100? Like, are they going to be like, no, dude, you're crazy. This stuff is worth 100. I looked it up in the price guide. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, right? Because those people you probably can't convince because they think you're swindling them.
Oh, no. Yeah, we've had this discussion about the price guide before. I mean, it was great. It was great back in, the 80s and the early 90s. And Ben and I have talked about this in detail. But my thing is trying to deal with somebody that lives and dies by that one.
No, there was a Panini Prism Profile Ricky Henderson, which were the case hits of that product. And I had missed out a couple at auction selling for low 20s. And a guy had one up there for, I forget, like $40. And I offered him something like 22. And he's like, no. And he goes, the lowest I'll go is 32. And I'm like, you're still higher than the fluid market. 4 of these have sold for between 20 and $25. He goes, if you buy them and I'll buy them from you at $32 all day long. And right now I think you can grab them for like 15 to $18. And I'm just like, you deal with these type of sellers all the time. They quote unquote know, all they know is that they're knuckleheads, and hey, it's their card. They can sell it. I mean, I got into it with a guy on Facebook yesterday. One of my biggest pet peeves is when somebody says on a 1 of 1, the seller sets the price. And it's like, no, knucklehead. The seller sets the listed price. The buyer sets the market price. The ultimate selling price is always the market. Now, the seller doesn't have to sell. It's theirs. There's only one. But, our good old friends at Third Base Cards and his canary, Eric Hosmer, $3,000. That's his listing price. But when he finally puts it at auction, it sells for what, like $200 or something like that? And
hey, your buddy posted his Babe Ruth again, by the way.
Yeah, I know he did. He posted on Facebook too. So he's like, show me your 1-on-1s. Show me your 1-on-1s. And he was quick to show, I got this canary Babe Ruth. It's graded. It's like grading a 1-on-1 adds nothing to the value. Nothing.
So as we end out the show tonight, Nick, where can we find and consume all of your great content?
Well, I appreciate you asking. So on most of the social media, I'm at Examine Baseball. That's on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. On Facebook, it's at From the Stretch. And on the web, it's baseballhappenings.net. If you go to Forbes.com and put in my name or La Vida Baseball, if you put in Nick Diunte, you'll find some of my work there as well.
Nick, we really appreciate you coming on and spending the time with us. When we set up the show, and I still have the original list. What, Ben? There were like 10 guys on the list, and Nick was on the short list.
Yeah,
of interviews.
And Nick, honestly, if we could, I feel like we've only scratched the surface with some of the content that you could offer listeners. We'd love to invite you back on for one of like our Sunday collector spotlights where, we get together and just do like an hour-long interview with somebody.
Yeah, why not? That would be great. I had a lot of fun doing this. I would say just get me before school starts because, the time differential, but this is fun.
Well, Nick,
absolutely. Maybe we can catch you one of the next couple of weeks since, we're still in the middle of the summer for you.
All right, great. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed being a part of it. And to everyone that's listening, enjoy your collecting and, find what you get fun out of it and, pursue that because at the end of the day, really, that's what it's about. It's a hobby.
I have one last question for you as a Mets fan.
Yeah.
Would you prefer if the Wilpons sold the team to somebody else?
I'll give you a really short, quick anecdote. So, a week and a half ago, they dedicated the street name to Tom Seaver. Right? They renamed it Tom Seaver Way. I'm at the press conference. I'm watching it. I'm standing outside. Wilpon walks by. There's a kid next to me, and he yells to Wilpon, "Hey, Wilpon, sell the team!" And he took like a video of it, trying to be cute and like post it. And all the adults just gave the kid like a dirty look, like Wilpon grilled him. Wilpon walks over like the next guy is my buddy who I know through Facebook, guy Anthony, and Anthony has this like Hall of Fame needs Hodges sign. And he's like, "Hey, Mr. Wilpon, will you take a picture with it?" And he's like, "Sure, no problem." And he had like a private conversation with the guy for like 3 minutes, about it. Should he sell the team? I don't think so, and I don't think it's my place to like say if he should, sell the team.
Videos with
I don't think so. I don't think so. Like, I don't know if that's the real true answer to the Mets problems is if Wilpon sells the team or not. And I might be in the minority about that.
I think they just need to get the right. I know they hired a new general manager who's a former agent. I think getting the right person to run. I don't think the owner matters as much as long as they get the right person to run the day-to-day operations of the club, right?
I mean, look at it. They almost didn't have a place for McNeil, right? Like they wanted to play him in the infield. Then now they put him in the outfield. They kind of flip-flop with like Dom Smith a lot, and even Conforto and Alonso wasn't like a lock to make the team to start the year as well. They've had some guys get hurt, which has kind of been a recurring theme for the last few years with the Mets. Their free agent signing acquisitions haven't been so hot, right? I mean, think about all the money they have to pour into Robinson Cano for the next few years. And that was to pick up Diaz, and Diaz is like, getting lit up like a Christmas tree. Like, you have a lot of money to throw around, but if you don't throw around wisely, I don't think that's something the Wilpons can control unless they want to, get another general manager in there.
Yeah. Well, and to suggest that he should sell the team would suggest that he would fall into the same bucket as other bad owners for different reasons. Guys like Jeffrey Loria, James Dolan, Donald Sterling. These are bad owners for different reasons. I don't think. I mean, Wilpon obviously needs to stay away from the Bernie Madoffs of the world, but
sure.
Other than that, I don't think he has ill will. I don't think he's trying to harm the Mets.
Kid video just kind of just spurring the question because I think some Mets fans feel that way, and I just think it's always the owner's fault. So,
real quick, Nick, Ivan at Watch the Breaks had mentioned in the thing. He said he loves your Twitter thread a few weeks back about your baseball history. So I just want to make sure you saw that compliment.
Oh, thanks a lot, man. Yeah, Ivan's a good dude, and I enjoy what he puts out there about the hobby and the idiosyncrasies that go along with it. He's a fun follow if folks aren't following him.
Definitely is. Don't put tape on top loaders.
Yeah,
team decks, baby. Remember, we're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 Central on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and review our show everywhere you can find us. We're in more places than ever. And then if you go and you ask your Alexa, you go, "Alexa, play About the Cards podcast," it will play us. I tried it out just for the first time the other day, and I was like, holy moly. So I felt super famous, and my son clapped. I mean, he's only 15 months old, and he heard my voice, and he clapped, so I felt really good. Follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. Follow Ben at our trading cards. You can always follow Steph at Junkwax Twins. You can follow me at Big Shep 79 on Twitter, and check out aboutthecards.com. wordpress.com. Please share your great stories and hobby polls, or hobby stories and polls with us, and send your questions our way, because that's the way we get this going. Guys, keep collecting. We love it. And Nick, again, 1,000 thank yous for hopping on and spending a late night with us. And we'll see you all next week on the next edition of About the Cards podcast. Talk to you later.